A scream tore across the golden savanna. Not the call of prey, not the roar of a predator, but the desperate, high-pitched cry of a cub. Down inside a deep, suffocating pit of mud, a tiny lion cub flailed helplessly. Its paws clawed at the slippery walls, its body sinking lower with every second. Panic echoed in the air. The lioness, its mother, rushed forward in a frenzy. The mighty male lion thundered beside her, roaring so loud the grassland trembled. Yet for the first time in their reign as rulers of the wild, they were powerless. And then, in the most unthinkable twist, their amber eyes turned toward a man, a stranger, the only one who could save their cub. This is not just a tale of danger in the wild. It is a story of family, of desperation, of a bond that defied instinct itself. On this day, the king and queen of the savanna bowed not with violence, but with trust. Stay with this story until the very end. Because what these lions did and how they reacted is something so extraordinary, so unbelievable, you'll find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about predators and people. The morning had begun like any other. The pride basked in the warmth of the rising sun, their golden coats gleaming against the endless sea of grass. The cub, playful, curious, and far too adventurous for its own good, darted away from its mother's watchful gaze. It chased the buzz of insects, pounced at shadows, and danced in the thrill of being alive. But in the savanna, every step can hide danger. Beneath the earth, pools of water had carved treacherous traps, shallow at the surface, yet deep and merciless below. One careless step, one leap too far, and disaster struck. The cub's tiny body slipped through the fragile crust of soil, tumbling into a pit where thick, sucking mud closed around it. At first, it squealed in confusion, paddling as if it were watered. "Shapir you are." But the mud was no water. It was death disguised in silence. With every movement, the cub sank deeper. Its cry grew sharper. The lioness arrived in seconds, heart hammering, tail lashing. She leapt to the edge, claws digging, and reached with desperate swipes, but her paws met only sliding sludge. She growled, roared, dug frantically, spraying dirt into the air. The male lion thundered to her side, his mane bristling like fire. He extended his massive paw, but the pit's edges collapsed under his weight. The mud mocked them, swallowing their efforts, dragging their cub lower still. The cub's cries pierced the air. A mother's ears are bound to her child, and each sound cut the lioness deeper. She threw herself closer, but instinct stopped her. If she fell, there would be no saving either of them. Her roars turned from fury to helplessness. The mighty male bellowed, but strength was useless here. The rulers of the savanna had met a prison they could not conquer. And then, something shifted. On the ridge beyond the grass stood a man, a rescuer who had been monitoring wildlife from a distance, now frozen in place. He had heard the cries. He had seen the chaos. His instincts screamed at him to stay away. 2 lions, 1 male, 1 female, both desperate, both armed with teeth and claws sharper than knives. Any wrong move, and he would be gone in an instant. Yet the lions did not attack. Their eyes, burning gold, met his. There was no hatred, no challenge. Instead, there was something unthinkable, a plea, a silent, desperate request. The man's heart pounded. Every instinct told him to retreat, yet he stepped forward, slowly, carefully. The lioness growled, low and trembling, not with rage, but with warning. "Save my cub, but do no harm." The male stood rigid, every muscle tight, but his tail flicked not with threat, but with anxious restraint. The man understood. They were giving him a chance. He ran for a nearby plank of wood, discarded from an old reserve marker. It was barely wide enough to crawl on, but it was something. With rope coiled over his shoulder, he approached the pit, each step a gamble with fate. The lions followed his every move, eyes glowing, breaths hot against the air. He laid the plank across the pit's rim, knelt low, and stretched out his hand. The cub, its tiny body coated in mud, whimpered weakly. Its paws flailed, splattering sludge onto his clothes. Its eyes, wide, terrified, pleading, met his. "Come on, little one," he whispered, though his voice shook. The man leaned further, mud pulling at the plank, threatening to drag him down too. He threw the rope, but the cub's tiny frame could not grip it. So he reached, further, further still. His fingers grazed the cub's paw. The mud surged. The cub slipped deeper, up to its chest, its cries breaking into silence. "No!" The word tore from him as he lunged, grabbing hold of the cub's legs. The mud clung like chains, suction pulling back with monstrous force. The man heaved, muscles burning. The plank creaked. For a moment, it seemed both rescuer and cub would be lost. Then, with a sickening sucking sound, the mud let go. The cub flew free into his arms. Mud splattered across his face, his chest, but he did not care. The tiny body trembled against him, alive, gasping. He scrambled back across the plank, heart slamming against his ribs. Gently, he placed the cub on the grass. The lioness rushed forward instantly. The man froze, bracing for attack. Her jaws opened wide, but instead of fury, she nudged her cub, licking furiously, cleaning the mud from its face. The cub whimpered, then nestled against her chest. Relief radiated from her in waves. The male lion stepped close, mane swaying, chest rising like thunder. He loomed over the man for one terrifying moment. A roar shook. The air, not a roar of anger, but of triumph, a declaration that his cub was alive, that his family was whole again. The man staggered back, his body trembling, his breath short. Yet the lions did not chase, did not pounce. Instead, they stared at him with something he could not name. Not gratitude in the human sense, but recognition, respect. For a moment, predator and man stood as equals. And then, with their cub safe between them, the lions turned away. The family walked back into the tall grass, vanishing into the golden horizon. The savanna was silent once more, but the man knew he had witnessed something that words could never truly capture. The moment when wild beasts laid aside instinct and trusted a stranger with the one thing they cherished most, their child. This was not just a rescue. This was a reminder that in the wild, where survival is everything, even the fiercest predators can show trust. That family, whether human or lion, is sacred, and that courage, sometimes, comes from answering a call no one else dares to. If this story touched you, don't let it end here. Hit the like button to spread this moment of trust and courage. Subscribe so you never miss another unbelievable animal rescue and wild encounter. And tell us in the comments below, what name would you give this brave little cub? Because stories like this prove one thing: the wild is full of surprises, and the next one might just change the way you see the world.